Hello everybody, Matt from Virtual Web. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to have a look at Mailchimp and setting up an account and then linking our account to Thrive Themes, to any of the opt-ins, the general Mailchimp API connection, and then how we can extend the standard. If you notice on most of the opt-in forms, it'll ask for email only, or maybe if you're lucky, name and email. But what if you want to get a phone number or a website URL or anything else that you may require? That is more the focus of this tutorial. So let's get into it. So I've already got a Mailchimp account, but I thought just for the fun of it, I'm going to set up a new one. It won't be a premium account, so there will be some features that will be disabled or not available. So let's sign up for free. Okay, I'm going to enter my details. I'm going to go with one of my other accounts. Don't think I've used Virtuactively before. And please, when you enter a password, use something cryptic. Okay, so once we've done that, we should be able to go to our email. Okay, there we are. Activate your account. I'm pretty confident I'm not a robot. Okay, enter your first and last name. Continue. What is the name of your business? Virtuactively. What's your website? HTTPS. It's not actually a website yet, but it will be soon. Okay, for this one you can put in a street address or a post office box. I'm going to use my PO box. Do not know why it's self-populating as ASCII. Queensland, Australia. Now obviously you'll put your respective address. Do you sell online? Will help you to store. Yes, we do. Now if you don't have an online store, make sure you enter no for that last one. Connect social media, so you can go through and do that for each of your social media pages. And it looks like it's done it automatically. I'm not authorizing Twitter, but if you want to go ahead and do so, continue. Want to kickstart your Mailchimp skills. That's up to you if you want to receive their emails and any other collateral that they send out. I already get enough of it. If it's your first time with Mailchimp, it might be worth it for a week or two just to see what sort of information you get and if it's beneficial. Welcome to the new dashboard. Now it's easier than ever. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Mailchimp can be very overwhelming at first. Certainly took me a while to get used to it, and I'm still figuring some things out. Mostly the more complex automation aspects, but for now, we're just concerned with setting up a basic list. So the first thing we're going to do is go and we're going to create a list. So if you go to lists up the top, and we've already got a Virtuactively list that's been created. We can create another one if we wish, but we don't need to. We're just going to stick with this one, keep things simple. And we're going to go to sign up forms. Then we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to list fields and merge tags. Okay, so in our form defaults, we've basically got 4 criteria, 4 fields, one being email, the other first name, last name, and birthday. Birthday is not important on any of the forms I do for opt-in. Now on opt-in forms, you should try and keep it to ideally just email. The less information you require from your potential clients, the better, or the people that you're trying to get to subscribe for whatever reason. So I'm going to get rid of birthday. Now Mailchimp asks you to type delete just so you don't make a silly mistake. Once it's gone, it's gone. You could always add it back in manually. So now I'm left with first name, last name, and address. I will keep those three for this demonstration. You'll notice it's got required field. Now of all the fields, at least one of them has to be required. Email is by default within Mailchimp. I don't even know if you can undo that and make something else required, but because it's an email responder, autoresponder, it's no doubt that it's absolutely mandatory. First name and last name. Now you can leave those fields there, but they might not necessarily be visible. For our form that we're going to be doing in Thrive Themes soon, we need those visible. I'm also going to add a field, and I'm going to add a website. Okay, so for the field title, I'm going to call it website URL. And I'll add one more field. What could we add? A phone number. So this could be like, as a web designer, I have some inquiry forms, and to save myself time and some back and forth with the potential client, straight up I ask for their existing website address. You'll notice I don't put it as required because some potential clients don't have a website. They're coming to me to have one built, hopefully. If they already do, they might be requiring a redesign or some modifications to their existing. I don't have it as a required field. In fact, the only field I do have as required is email. The last thing is phone number. That's a bonus because I can just get on the phone rather than having to go back and forth with email conversation, which, as you know, can do anybody's head in. I'm keeping it as international because that keeps the input mask. That is an example of an input mask. It keeps it a lot more open and generalized, so specific characters don't need to be entered. That format there may suit the United States. It doesn't necessarily suit the numbers of many other countries like Australia. We have different patterns, but anyway, that's neither here nor there right now. So that's what I'm going to create for my form. We'll keep it simple for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. One of them is required. All the rest are visible. Now here, the next part, we want to be aware of this. Now these are our tags. The good thing about tags is we can use them in our email responses. So if we've got a general email response, instead of saying to whom it may concern or hi, we can actually put hello and then first name with the asterisk, pipe, F name, pipe, asterisk, and that will automatically populate the field that's on record for that particular person who has opted in to your emails. Now I'm going to change this one to reflect the type of field it is, and in this case it's website, and I'm going to change this one to phone. Much easier to work with when it actually makes sense with what it's relating to. Okay, I'm happy with all that. I'm going to save those changes. We're now going to go on to a opt-in form in Thrive Themes, and we're going to add these additional fields to the default fields that are already in Thrive Themes in general, which, as I said before, is generally name and email. Sometimes it's just email. Let's go to Thrive Themes. So I'm going to just, for an example, do a new, I'm not going to do a new page, I'm going to do a new lead. So let's go to Thrive Dashboard, Leads. And we are going to add a new, let's just do a lead group. Add new, we'll call this the Mailchimp test. You call it whatever suits what you're doing. Might be your opt-in form. We're going to now add in a add new type of opt-in form. I'm going to make this one a light box. Light boxes are a step more complicated than most of the other ones, so it'll be a good opportunity to demonstrate that while we're here. Okay, I'm not going to worry about any of these settings for now. I don't want it displaying yet. So as Thrive Themes shows you, next step is to add a form. Okay, create form. Again, I'm just going to call it Mailchimp test. Create form. Okay, so I want it to display immediately on page load. Let's see what other options we are given. You can have it show after, so there we are. I'm going to show it after a certain amount of time. It'll be 10, let's make it 15 seconds after page load. So what is smart exit? It's use this option to trigger the form on exit intent. So if somebody goes to X out of your page up the top, it basically will pop up with the opt-in as a last ditch attempt to get them to opt into your email or your subscription newsletter, whatever it may be. Okay, I am happy with that. In fact, let's just turn that on for fun and games. Okay, display frequency every 7 days means that your potential client or subscriber won't be harassed every time they come to your site. Every 7 days, it'll basically, if they haven't opted in already, it will re-trigger 7 days after the last time they were shown the opt-in. Animation is to zoom in. Let's what's zoom out look like? No. I like bounce in. There we are. It's not too in your face, but it sort of is enough to get people noticing. Okay, let's edit the design. Now remember, with this tutorial, the focus is all about adding extra fields to what's already in here. So we're just taking a step beyond just hooking up Mailchimp. It's actually how do we add the extra fields in. Okay, so we need one that's got fields, and we'll get a head start by using a nice simple one. There we are. That has a couple of fields in there already. I'm not going to do too much to the formatting. That is pretty straightforward. All this here you can fill out yourself, change the image, whatever you want to do. What I'm concerned about is making sure we get this part right here. So what I'm going to do is click on the opt-in subscribe part. We're going to connect with a service, create a new connection. Now that is the Mailchimp connection that you just created, or you may already have one. Now you've got two options. You connect by API, or you can embed the code, and that's something that we will need to do in this case, is we need to actually embed the HTML form code. So I'll show you how to do that, and we'll need to jump back to Mailchimp to get that information. So go to the next step. Okay, so we need to get the code now. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go back to Mailchimp. We've saved that before, as it says here, and we are going to go to settings. No, we're not. We're going to go to sign up forms, embedded forms. Okay, now just to save time, I'm going straight to naked. Now naked is, if you have a look at the different sorts here, you've got your classic view, quite nice and tidy, super slim, horizontal, naked. Now I've already got formatting in Thrive Themes, just like you do. It's already been formatted. I just need the raw HTML. Okay, enable reCAPTCHA. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now copy and paste this code. I've highlighted it. If I was smart, I would have just Control A, Control C, depending on what keyboard or whether you're on a PC or a Mac. And we're going to go back to Thrive Themes, and we're going to paste in our code here. We're going to generate the fields. So now you'll see that all those fields, email, first name, last name, website, and phone, have been brought across to our Thrive Themes opt-in form. So what I'm going to do now, it's asking for what do you want the field label. So this is the field properties, the actual name in the back end. That didn't highlight too well, did it? Email, F-name, L-name, but we don't want F-name, L-name displaying to our potential client. So I'm just going to tidy this up and call it, I'm just going to leave it as first, last. Look, somebody out there will get confused. Let's keep it to the point. First name, last name, website, and phone. Validation. So validation means Before we pass the form, do you want us to make sure that it meets the general guidelines of that type of data? Now, the only one that's really a concern here is email. Email, you've only got two options anyway, email or phone. I only do email. It basically checks that there's an @ symbol and something before and after the @ and that it meets the general criteria of a clean email address. There's probably more specific rules that I have absolutely no idea, so I'm not going to kid you at the moment. It is a required field. Icons, I don't worry about the icons. If you want to have a play, that's up to you. I don't even, to be honest, know what they look like in Thrive. I never use them. I'm just happy with the straight out data, how it's presented with just the text and fields only. Okay, now for phone, you can do it for a phone, but what issues I've had in the past is that if somebody enters a phone number in a way that doesn't match, like they put the +61 for Australia and it doesn't like the plus sign, you can have issues, and I'm not prepared to risk losing a client over them getting frustrated over one field. So I just let the phone field get treated like a text field, and they could write anything they want basically, so, or leave it blank. So let's save that. Okay, so let's go back to our settings, back to the dashboard, and we want it to display on desktop. Okay, so I just had a little challenge then, which I've just cut out of the video. I was trying to change display on desktop and it kept telling me that no, you can't do this. You need to add at least one opt-in form. We'd already added an opt-in form. All I did was went to settings and purged the cache. Back to normal. I can now click display on desktop and we are ready to go. So what I'm going to do is see if this works on the 404. All I need to do is go to thriver.virtualweb.com.au and I need to just create a page that doesn't exist, and my cool Star Wars 404 has just appeared. After 15 seconds we should see that pop-up appear if all went well. If it does, we will take it for a spin, see if it works. Look at that. First time. Okay. Okay, now we're going to populate this form. I'm just going to enter one of my email addresses in here. First name, I'm just going to make it up. Phone number. Okay, so subscribe now. Okay, so here is the confirmation from Mailchimp, so we know it's gone through to Mailchimp, but we'll go and check. Return to our website. It's actually going to take me to Virtuactively, which is not even set up in itself, but which is okay, because normally this would have been set up for Virtuactively. Remember when we set up, put in the settings at the beginning, we put our website in there, so it'll automatically just send people there. If you want them going onto another form or to a specific page, you can go into the Mailchimp settings and change that. So let's go back to Mailchimp. It's got the number 1 up here, so if we go to our lists, it'll hopefully have us as a user, 1 subscriber. Let's click on the list, and of course it's not going to have us as a subscriber because I haven't opted in yet. Now by default, opt-ins are double opt-in, so the person that has subscribed needs to give permission. Here is the please confirm subscription. Yes, subscribe me to this list. I'm not a robot most of the time. Subscribe to list. Now we should be able to go back here. We reload the page, and there we are, Matt123 at espressodesign.com.au with the details that we entered. You've got a new subscriber. Now that's that for today. The next step, and I'm pretty sure you need to go on their lowest plan, which is $10 a month, to be able to use automation. So With the free plan from memory, you can have one set email that bounces back which auto responds back to them, introducing your business, thank you for subscribing, blah blah blah. If you want to start putting email sequences together, don't quote me, but I'm pretty confident you need to be on the lowest plan, and that's when you'd be using automation. Okay, so that's for another tutorial anyhow. I hope that's been some help. That question's been coming up a lot on the forums as to how you embed more than the standard fields into a form. I'm just going back to it just as a friendly reminder. So that principle we applied to Thrive Leads just then. Same principle applies across the board with Thrive Themes whenever you're using their Mailchimp API. You can use the API when it's basically straightforward connection using the fields that you have there, or if you want to add more fields, you need to do the embed process that we just did. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll talk to you next time.